And then typically once the webinar is done, it will end. Like it will just automatically end. So just so you know, if you're like, where did it go? That's just how it works. So
Oh,
just giving you a warning if it cuts off at the end, that's
okay.
why. Okay, welcome everybody. I have the tremendous privilege of having Janet here. Janet is about to graduate the Happy Hormones program, still currently in the Happy Hormones program, but I wanted to share her story today. So she's graciously joined us in just sharing her experience with her hormones and really kind of how she's gotten to this point. So Janet, do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll kind of go from there?
Yeah. So my name is Janet, and I have two little boys that they're four, just turned 4 in 20 months, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm with them 24/7, and and yeah, and a wonderful husband and an awesome cat.
Amazing. A very full life is what I hear with that. You have a very full life. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so
especially being with kids 20.
it's tough. It's really hard. And then you add in things like feeling irritable and moody and anxious and like all of those things that we experience around our hormones. And it just makes parenting really kind of awful, right? So I would love, one of the things we love to do in this group is not just celebrate the people, and their changes and their transformations, but actually talk a little bit about where you started. So would you mind sharing with the women who are here where you were at before we started working together? What was going on with your hormones that really kind of brought you to that place where you're like, I have to do something?
Yeah, so I actually try. So I will go back just a little bit and try to make this short and sweet. But we had lost our first pregnancy, and then we couldn't get pregnant after that. So we did fertility meds with my oldest son, and those just like jacked my body up.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through severe postpartum anxiety, depression, probably OCD, all of that stuff. And after I weaned my first son, I started to get better, and I did a lot of mind work. And that's where like my relationship with the Lord just really, really grew a lot. And
Yeah.
so going into my second pregnancy, I felt really confident. I felt really confident, like I'm not gonna have any of this postpartum stuff. We got pregnant naturally,
Right.
and really I turned. So had my second kid. I had a
Wow.
little bit of postpartum, not bad at all, and then I started to wean him. And I started to wean him, and the closer and closer I got to it, like weaning him completely, the worse and worse I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So what that looked like for me was I would say like probably postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, probably weaning depression.
Mm-hmm.
um, what that looked like is that, one, this was my biggest concern, is that I was having these unwanted thoughts. I was having unwanted suicidal thoughts, and I did
Mm-hmm.
not die. I did not want to die. Like, and I couldn't
Right.
understand why that was happening. I also just felt like blah. Like, I knew I was happy, like all my circumstances were really good, but and I knew I was happy, but I wasn't experiencing that feeling of joy.
Right.
um those really, really scared me. The one, especially with like a lot of the mind work that I had done after my first son, and
Right.
having unwanted thoughts or scary thoughts scared me because they're scary thoughts.
Right. Totally.
And
Totally.
yeah, so then once I got my cycle back, after weaning my second son, it was super long. It was like 7 to 8 days long, super heavy, clots. I had really bad acne. I still had all of these mood issues. I wasn't necessarily irritable, but I was just anxious all the time. And and when my period came, I had like scary thoughts. And that
Right.
is what pulled me, because I could see a connection between, okay, I got my period, and then I had a scary thought, and I'd be super, super crazy anxious. And then I would say it wouldn't necessarily go away, but my mind was just always going, and I wasn't trying to make it go. And I
Right.
knew, I knew it was more than just mind work.
Right. Absolutely. And I love that you kind of nailed that last sentence is I think we all kind of get to that place where we're like, whether it's from conversations with our doctor or our OBGYN or just looking at our, you know, our period app and being like, I only have these thoughts like 3 days before my period. What is going on? Like, why is this happening? And this is the thing, is anything that affects your neurotransmitters, the ability to make serotonin or dopamine, can progress to things like obsessive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, suicidal thinking that's not your normal. And so those, like, I experienced those myself and never voiced them to my doctor because I'm like, I don't want to kill myself, but I'm
Yep.
having thoughts about it, and it's very confusing, and it only happens 3 days before my period. And so, like, what the heck is going on? And so I love that you made that connection. And so tell us a little bit, how was that impacting your day to day at that time, like as a mom of 2 young kids? Like, get into the nitty gritty there, so because I know a lot of people relate to this.
So I actually started, well, I did Andrea's workshop, and I still have my sheet from her workshop that she does. And I just wanted to read a little bit of it. Is that I wasn't really present with my kids. Like, I was there 24/7, but my mind was just always going. And like you said, like, mine progressed to the point of, okay, I didn't just have these symptoms like 3 days before my period. I had them like all month long, but the intensity of them went up and down, up and down. So like I wasn't present with my kids. Like, I was there,
Right.
but I was thinking. I was always like worried about something or anxious about something. And that's what I said. I was constantly trying not to get my mind to spin.
Yep.
And also with that, like, I just had I had zero libido. I could care less. It was more like a to-do list. And because of that, like, since my mind was always spinning all of the time, it made me feel crazy.
Yep.
And that scared me because I didn't want to be crazy. And then you just hear like, well, like, medication, which I was already on for my very first my first postpartum period, that I hadn't weaned completely off yet.
Right.
It was my second, so I was already on. And then the best, like, doctors would say to do were like, okay, there's medicine and going to counseling, which I both did. And then I was still experiencing this, and it made me feel crazy, and
Right.
that made me scared also.
Right. Totally. And yeah, and it's just like this spinning cycle that just doesn't stop, you know, and then you're already in this like anxious kind of tense place. And then you have your kids who are just kids, right? They're just being 2, they're just being 3, whatever. And it's like all of a sudden you're from here to here. And it's very
So
quick and it's
I would
not
feel
fun.
yeah, no, I would feel overwhelmed a lot. And even during, like, I would feel overwhelmed a lot, not necessarily like angry or irritable at them. I would just feel overwhelmed a lot. And like, I just need a break from them. Like, I just need a break from them and feeling overwhelmed. And like I said, just not being present in the moment.
Right.
And I noticed this was another huge indicator. Like, once I started getting better and once I started to heal, my screen time on my phone went way down.
Yeah.
Like,
Isn't
it
that
just went
crazy?
down because
Yep.
I know, because I was constantly looking on how to feel better.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Or like trying to get that hit of dopamine that happens when we scroll our phones all the time, because now your body's making those neurotransmitters, which is amazing. So tell us, and I know, because I know that the women who are watching are going to be encouraged to see like, okay, this is actually possible. But talk a little bit about what changed for you, because we had that breakthrough call, and you obviously had to have that conversation with your hubby. And then tell us a little bit about like what you feel like made the most difference for you in kind of walking through this hormone process.
Well, one, Andrea was a saint, because like that first breakthrough call, like bawling my eyes out
Oh,
because I actually somebody actually understood what I had gone through and what I was going through. And I remember one thing that she said is that, like, Janet, like, you don't need, like, what you're experiencing, something along the line, like, what you're experiencing, like, you don't need to pray more. Like, this is not like it's not something that, like, it's physical. Like, there's every single aspect of your, I say every single aspect of your life is being affected by this, and
Mhm.
you don't need to try to just pray more to make it go away. So that was a
Right.
big part for me. But I'm trying to think what really changed. Just the, especially at the beginning, I was so hesitant. I was already so anxious, and having Andrea there and the other support people of just being there and answering my questions. Like, she is fantastic of getting back to you quickly. There was a lot of different questions that I had about certain things we were doing, and I'm a person that likes to know the why behind them. And even if I was unsure about them, just the support of having someone explaining to me, okay, this is why we're doing this. This is a process. And this is what you can do in the meantime to feel better until your hormones are actually healing and that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. So just having someone alongside of me who, I would say, who I actually felt like has been in my shoes and had walked through that path and has come out on the other side, I felt like I could actually trust.
Awesome. And yeah, I have been there. I have experienced all of the symptoms. Like I even had night sweats and hot flashes and insomnia. So I had like extra toppings on my hormone ice cream. That was a really bad metaphor. Bad metaphor. But yes, there is and this is the thing that I think we forget is that we've been suffering for such a long time, right? That I remember when I first started working on my hormones, I think I emailed my doctor every single day for like that first 2 months because I was like, am I really going to get better? Am I really going to get better? Am I really going to sleep again? Am I really not going to have anxiety? Like I just didn't know if my body could heal. I wanted to believe it and I had enough faith that I had to do something, but I wasn't there yet, you know? And so I think that's in all the research that I've done, like in polls that I've done with women, the number one thing that they are missing from their process is not just the process that needs to change, it's actually the support. And so many of the women that I talk to, it's I didn't even think to ask because like every time I go to my doctor, they just say, "Oh, you just have to deal with it." So having
Mm-hmm.
somebody to walk you through and say like it's normal, I'm here for you, I know it sucks right now, I've seen it before, I've seen it happen a million times this exact same way, you're going to get through it, like I'm here for you, it's okay to be frustrated, like because there is, as the body heals, there isn't this magic pill that we can take like to resolve our symptoms. You guys have already tried that. More than likely you've tried birth control, you've tried hormone replacement therapy, you've tried some creams or oils or supplements or whatever, like before you even gotten to me. So we know that approach doesn't work, which means that we have to offer support in getting to where you want to go as your body kind of does this until it evens out, right? So I love that
Yep.
you shared a little bit about that process. So tell us, how are things now? Because you
So
kind of like threw a surprise at me at our last coaching call,
I know I
which
did.
was awesome. I
Um,
love it.
I know. So I will say, like, even with the process, like, I am now just such a huge believer of just, and like Angie's done great of just having a holistic approach of wherever you're at. And I'm such a huge believer of that because I really felt like through my first postpartum experience, I had really tackled like the spiritual and the mental side of it, of going through that. And yet I was still experiencing these symptoms and I didn't understand why. And so having her, that last piece of not only supporting me physically, but like, okay, your body is like, you're experiencing this because your body's doing A, B, C, and D, kind of took the pressure off of like, oh my gosh, it's not because I'm not doing these techniques or I'm not doing this mind work or that I'm not praying, I say not praying enough, but not believing God enough or
Right.
whatever that is. So, but she was also really supportive of that holistic of like, sometimes we do need to work on our mind work, and that's a part of our healing also. But I think the biggest thing that I learned from this, like, so many times we hear like, especially with like anxiety, depression, OCD, like, well, you're always going to be stuck like this, like you have to just manage, that you're just going to have to manage and be like this, and that is not the case. Like, it is totally possible to heal and live an abundant life. So with that, where I'm at now, I am I can actually sit and enjoy my boys. Like I can just sit and I can watch them play and be like, I love this. This is awesome. I love this. This is what this is what I thought motherhood would be like. This is
Right.
what I like. There are crappy things like a week ago, we are coming off of a week and a half of sickness. And before that, I would have been like, before I started the program, I would have been completely and totally overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed by probably like the last half of the sickness, but I was able to handle it. Like I was able to handle it. I was like, okay, we threw up at the restaurant. Let's clean up your clothes. Okay, you exploded in your crib. I guess we're gonna go take a bath.
You were appropriately overwhelmed by the end of that. Anybody would have been overwhelmed by that at the end of the week. So
yeah. So, and I will say, like, my libido has definitely gone up. Like, I actually want to be with my husband instead of just like, okay, it's been like how many days now? I probably should like actually want to be with him, which is huge. And just having, I remember the first time where I actually felt that joy again. Like it was on the coaching call and I was like, I actually feel happy. Like I have the emotion of happy.
Right. It's a big deal.
But then it is a big deal. And so on our last coaching call, I had actually told Andrea that I had actually been weaning down on my Zoloft that I have been on for a long time. And I had been on the same dose since I got pregnant with my second son, and he's 20 months old. So I had been on this dose for like 2 years now, and I've been wanting to get off of it. And I have slowly been weaning off of it. And I actually just had a virtual appointment with my practitioner on Wednesday and told her how I was doing, and she was like, your plan sounds fantastic. Totally supported totally supported me using the medication. And this is so huge if she was just saying, because I were saying thing like, I am such a huge believer of a holistic approach in health. And she said, yes, and it's so good to see someone actually see success. And so that just not only encouraged me, but her saying to actually see success of saying like, it is possible. And there's so much more that we can do to support our bodies and support our minds and our spiritual health in so many different ways to live that full, abundant life. And like, it's possible. So
come on, girl, preach. Yeah. People need to hear that. It's true. And I remember in our first conversation, I was like, what would it be like for you if you didn't have that anymore? And you were like, I can't even imagine. I can't even picture. And I remember that because I remember my doctor, like, you can feel this way. Like you can have periods without cramps. And I was like, bro, like, what are you talking about? You know? And he's like, yeah, I know I'm a dude, but like, I do know things. So it's when you heal the root causes and your physiology comes into alignment, you don't have this rotting fruit hanging from your tree. You know what I mean? That's just kind of, it messes with everything in your life. And we are all about women walking in their destiny as mothers, as women. And part of that is walking in abundant health. And that means not having these symptoms that are anchoring you to the floor, right? And getting you to a place that if you guys decide to have kids again, or, you know, that you have a level of confidence in your body to say, body, I trust you. Like you and I are friends again. We can trust each other. We can go through this again and know how to walk through that season. So I am just like epically proud of you, first of all. I know that there are going to be so many women who hear this story and are just like, oh my gosh, that's me, you know, and resonate with seeing somebody who's done it and who's walked through that process and, you know, saying, yeah, it works. I'm doing so much better. And so what would you say, like, to the women who are watching that are maybe where you were like 3 months ago, what would you say as just kind of your parting words, your closing remarks, word of encouragement to them?
Do it. But like I'm getting such a passion of, because I have heard for so long in my life of, well, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Like it is totally and completely possible to heal, to live that abundant life, to heal from anxiety, that depression, or the postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD. It is totally possible to heal and live that abundant. You don't have to just manage your symptoms. You don't just have to manage going through this. Like, there really are answers. And I really do believe that for every single different, like, whatever you may be dealing with, like, you may be dealing with stuff that's like that I didn't deal with, but I truly believe that there are answers. And I truly believe in a holistic approach. And if you don't tackle every single part of it, like, I really feel like that is what was missing, just that holistic approach, and believe that it is totally possible to heal. Keep believing that it's totally possible to heal, and that you don't just have to manage, and you can, like, you're created to live this abundant life, and so live it.
Come on. You're like, newsflash. That's what you just did. It was awesome. No, and I love it because it's so encouraging for people to see, like, this is why we do testimonials in here, because, you know, we have women who are in menopause, women who were struggling with infertility, women who it's more like mood issues around their cycle, or endometriosis, or we need to see that it's possible and that there's hope. So I just want to
Yeah,
say thank you
there is.
so much for taking the time out of your day to share your story and lend some of the women here your hope and your encouragement for them. If you're watching and you're like, hey, I want to know more about this process, see if it's a good fit for you or what your next steps might be moving forward, then just shoot me a message or comment below and we will schedule a time to chat. Otherwise, thank you so much, Janet, for your time today, for just being a voice of encouragement for women just like you. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching.